Hello, music lovers. Thanks so much for dropping by the channel. I truly appreciate it. And also welcome to all you brand new subscribers out there. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite bands, Blue Oyster Cult. Now, be honest, what comes to mind when you hear this name? You know, I think this is one cool band, very underrated, doesn't get enough credit. Yeah, they've never been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but probably have the biggest cult following, no pun intended, of any band that hasn't been nominated yet. And yeah, sure, they sing about Godzilla. There's a song about the Grim Reaper, and they have an occultish looking logo, and probably doesn't help to have the word cult in your name, and they must worship the devil, right? Well, maybe Eric, but nobody else, believe me. Now, as I said, I have always found this band to be a really cool, underrated band, and I've gotten a lot of shit for it over the years, and I've got proof, actually. One of my friends, his name is Rob, I gave him one of my BOC CDs about 20 years ago. He listened to it, he gave it back to me, and he wrote on it in crayon on the jewel case. You want to see what it said? This is what it said. It said, "Complete human waste." All right, this is the kind of shit that I had to put up with, folks. Now, just in case you're wondering what this guy Rob looks like, this is a photo that I have of him. And yeah, this is a real photo. It's not photoshopped. I didn't grab this one from mentalpatient.com, all right? Now, on the flip side, whenever I can turn one of my friends on to BOC, well, that just makes me a happy guy. Last year, I had the chance to do that. I was going to go with my friend Jonathan to go see BOC in Richmond last fall. Something came up. I couldn't go, so I told Jonathan, I said, look, if you can sell my ticket, great. If not, get one of your friends, go see the show. You'll love it. And he went to the show. The next morning, I get this text back from him. Check this out. He said, dude, I had no idea that BOC was that good. They were fantastic. Both Todd and I agreed that we both underestimated them all these years. They jammed their balls off. How did I not know? Then he goes on to say, I'm a fan now for sure. I still can't believe I never knew how good they were. Oh, and by the way, this is a photo of me from last year with my buddies Jonathan and Mark. We go see a lot of shows. Love you guys. Can't wait to see you again and go do some more shows, all right? Actually, Blue Oyster Cult is the only band that I got to see live this year in 2020, you know, before the shit hit the fans. And I saw them up at the Birchmere in Northern Virginia back in February. What a great show. And, you know, despite the guys being off the road for most of the year, they've had a very productive year nonetheless. They have released no less than 5 concert DVDs from throughout their career. They even had time to record a brand new album, their first in 20 years, called The Symbol Remains. I'll get into more details about these new releases, including my review of the brand new album too. Now, you know that Blue Oyster Cult, you know, haven't had a new album in the past 20 years, but they remain a force to be reckoned with. I mean, look, turn on the radio and you're bound to hear Don't Fear the Reaper, Burning for You, Godzilla. You know, when they come to your town, they leave you with your jaws dropped. Maybe they picked up some new fans like I just showed you. And of course, it doesn't hurt to get woven into the pop culture fabric like they did with the infamous Saturday Night Live sketch, which turned out to be one of the most famous that they've ever had. And of course, I'm talking about the one with more cowbell. Now, in the skit, Blue Oyster Cult are featured in this mock behind the music type episode about the making of their classic hit, Don't Fear the Reaper. Particularly the recording of the cowbell featured in the song. And no matter how much cowbell action there is, it's never enough for producer Bruce Dickinson, played masterfully by legendary actor Christopher Walken. Now, in the skit, he infamously tells the band, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. Now, what's interesting about this skit is that it aired very late in the show, which is usually where they put their more weird or controversial sketches, and it winds up becoming, if you go take a look at any top 10 list for Saturday Night Live sketches, it's probably in there. And it came as a total shock to Blue Oyster Cult. They had no idea that they were going to be featured in a comedy sketch on SNL, and they love it. They really have enjoyed having the accolades from this episode. Here's what guitarist and singer Eric Bloom had to say. He said, I saw it live on my TV in my house and did not know it was going to be on, so I was more shocked than amused when it was on. I certainly see the humor after it was on. It certainly has legs. It has become part of Americana at this point. Somebody brings it up to me on a regular basis. Somebody just asked me about it today. I'm in Detroit, and we're doing a show in Detroit today, and somebody at the show here today asked me about it. I was reading a car magazine a couple of years ago, and it said, this car, while the acceleration and the handling are pretty good, it still needs more cowbell. So it's really crossed over to the American language. It's pretty interesting. I don't even know if Will Ferrell realizes how much it's crossed over, and he wrote it. Now, speaking of Will Ferrell, he's the one who played the cowbell, of course, in the episode. This is what he had to say about a encounter that he had a little bit later on with Christopher Walken. He says, here's the crazy thing. I go see Christopher Walken years later in a play. I say hello to him backstage, and he's like, you know, you ruined my life. People during curtain calls bring cowbells. The other day I went out for Italian food for lunch, and the waiter asked if I wanted more cowbell with my pasta bolognese. Now, this really says a lot about the sketch because, let's face it, Christopher Walken is a legendary actor. He's been in many, many memorable roles. I mean, let's not forget about the Russian roulette scene in The Deer Hunter. Chris loves to dance, tries to work it into a lot of his movies. How about the Fatboy Slim video where he dances all the way through it? And then, of course, who can forget the role in Pulp Fiction where he plays a Vietnam vet who returns home to give a gold watch to the young son of his fallen comrade and describes in detail how both he and the kid's father had to keep the watch up their ass to keep it safe in order to get it to him. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Blue Oyster Cult recently put out their first new album in nearly 20 years called The Symbol Remains. And I don't buy too many CDs, folks, but I want to support this band because that's how much I love these guys. And, I think this album is probably one of the best albums that they've done in the past 40 years. Now, over that time, since 1980, they've only put out, I think, 8 studio albums. And if I had to split them in half, my top 4, let me know what yours is. But I would have to go with Fire of Unknown Origin. Certainly this one, Symbol Remains, Heaven Forbid from 1998. Cultosaurus Erectus was another great album. And I'm not saying that the bottom 4 don't have great stuff on them. They certainly do, but this is a very solid album all around. Great songwriting, great production, great playing. It's mixed very, very well. Mixed by Tom Lord Agee, who is just a legendary mixer, so it sounds really, really good. Let me know what your top and bottom 4 are. And also, this album topped the Amazon charts briefly, went all the way to #1, so glad to see the guys getting some sales. So in case you're wondering, these days, Blue Oyster Cult consists of 2 original members, Eric Bloom on the guitar and vocals, the legendary Buck Dharma on vocals and guitar. Also the band rounded out by drummer Jules Rodino, who's been with them since 2004. Also bassist Danny Miranda, he's been with the band on and off since about 1995. And singer-guitarist Richie Castellano, who's been with them since 2004. Now, one of the things I really like about this new album is it incorporates a lot of the things that I love about Blue Oyster Cult and why I have remained a fan after all these years. I'm talking about the offbeat lyrical themes, the great melodies, the guitar virtuosity of, Buck Dharma and now Richie Castellano. It's all in here, and I'm going to get into some highlights of this album. But before I do, I got a fever. That's right. How about we do some trivia? All right, I'm burning for trivia. Now, so far, the band have released 4 music videos from the new album. One is for Eric Bloom's That Was Me. Another is for Buck Dharma's Box in My Head. Then there's one for Richie Castellano's Tainted Blood. And finally, there's The Alchemist, which is sung by Eric Bloom. Now, the question is, which of these videos makes reference to the 80s mockumentary, This Is Spinal Tap? Is it A, That Was Me, B, Box in My Head, C, Tainted Blood, or D, The Alchemist? And the answer is A, That Was Me. That's right, in the video for That Was Me, you'll notice a billboard where it says Puppet Show and Blue Oyster Cult, which is a direct reference to the hilarious scene from Spinal Tap where the band play a theme park, only to be greeted by a similar sign that says Puppet Show and Spinal Tap. The management says, if I told them once, I told them 100 times, it's Spinal Tap first, Puppet Show last. Anyway, this new video also features a guest appearance by original drummer Albert Bouchard, who played the cowbell on Don't Fear the Reaper, and here he is making a guest appearance, hitting that cowbell. Anyway, this is a great album opener. That was me. Nice heavy riff, classic Eric Bloom. Up next, Box in My Head. This is a nice melodic rocker from Buck Dharma, and I love the offbeat lyrics. Buck explains it. He says, the lyrics of Box in My Head is about a fellow explaining to a girl who's interested in him that he's sort of a complex personality, and if she really wants to know him, she's welcome into his head, but watch out within there. By the way, if you're wondering about Buck Dharma and where that name came from, that is a stage name. His real name is Donald Roser. And back in the early days of the band, their manager, Sandy Pearlman, gave them all stage names, but nobody liked their names, so they ditched them, except for Don. He wanted to keep Buck Dharma, and that's what he goes by. And I think it fits him very, very well. Like I said before, he is a tremendous guitar player, does not get enough credit. One of the most underrated guitar players there are out there. Always love listening to his stuff. And one of the things about Blue Oyster Cult is the guitar playing is always immaculate and lots of great memorable solos. And if you've ever been to see BOC, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Watching Buck play is just incredible. And then up next, there's the song Tainted Blood, which is just tremendously great. Most notable for the first appearance of Richie Castellano singing lead on a Blue Oyster Cult album. And, you know, this just speaks volumes about Buck Dharma and Eric Bloom, allowing, you know, Richie to sing lead and to write songs on this album. They didn't have to do that. They could have easily just done everything themselves if they had way bigger egos, but they recognize that Richie is not your average sideman. He is an extraordinary talent. Let me just put it this way. If Richie were a baseball player, he would be a five-tool player. You know, one of these guys that can run, hit, throw, and all that stuff. Richie Castellano, this is a guy that can write music, he can sing, he can perform on multiple instruments. He is a arranger, a producer. He even helped to produce all of the videos for this new album. He is a major asset, the secret weapon of Blue Oyster Cult. And anybody who has watched this channel knows that I'm a big fan of Richie. I discovered him a couple years back by accident, and his band Geek project, which is a little side group that he's got with his wife Anne-Marie, along with, you know, many of their talented friends who can also play multiple instruments and sing, and they're known for doing a lot of great covers. And they cover everybody from Michael McDonald to Iron Maiden and everybody in between. And every now and then they'll have a guest. They had Bumblefoot in there once, and maybe somebody from Blue Oyster Cult will sit in. And it's just a really fun channel. You got to check it out. If you're a fan of the band Yes, you got to check out their cover of Close to the Edge, which is just jaw-dropping. It's tremendously great. And certainly Blue Oyster Cult really benefiting from having Richie on this album. I really couldn't imagine him not being here. He's added so much, co-wrote 8 songs, sang on 3, and here's what Richie had to say about being brought in to step up and be a really big part of this album. He said, I was not expecting to do as much on this album. I thought it would be really cool if I got to write one song. I wasn't expecting this to happen. I'm very grateful that they were very supportive of me and gave me the opportunity to do it. It's a huge honor. I'm very grateful. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things I love about Blue Oyster Cult are the offbeat lyrics, and they're not known for writing love songs, I love you baby, baby kind of stuff, so their love songs are a little bit left of center. Like in this one, Tainted Blood, it's about a broken-hearted vampire. I mean, look, it must suck to live for hundreds of years and see everybody that you love die. I mean, probably the closest example that we've got to that in our modern world is Keith Richards. It really must be tough for the guy. But, you know, actually, this is a Blue Oyster Cult song that doesn't sound like Blue Oyster Cult. I guess it's because Richie wrote it and sings it, and it's just got a different vibe to it. So if you're out there thinking, well, I don't like Blue Oyster Cult, try Tainted Blood. It may be the one and only song that you'll like. It may not sound like Blue Oyster Cult, but it kind of does now, if you know what I mean. Up next, we've got The Alchemist, and this is another one, classic Blue Oyster Cult, harkens back to Veteran of the Psychic Wars from the Fire of Unknown Origin album. And again, lyrically, based on a short story by H.P. Lovecraft. And what's also great is guitarist Buck Dharma wanted he and Richie to do some guitar harmonies on this song. And so there's a great segment here for that. Harkens back to a great song, Harvest Moon, from a couple of albums ago. And the harmonies also remind me of Iron Maiden. And also on keyboards, special guest Andy Ascalise, who is a member of Richie's band Geek. He comes in here, plays piano on a few songs. And suffice it to say that The Alchemist is a classic BOC. Another great song on this album is The Machine. This is one that Richie Castellano wrote and sang, and it's about his love affair with technology. I mean, look, you go outside and look around, everybody is staring at their cell phones, looking at a screen. You can't even go see grandma nowadays. I mean, look, I'm 98 years old. I don't know if I'm going to be here much longer. Would you say, Grandma? Another great song on this album is Florida Man, and this is a Buck Dharma classic, no question about it. And again, Blue Oyster Cult, offbeat lyrics, love it. You know, I don't know what the hell's going on in Florida. A lot of weird shit happens down there. This song is about this internet meme sensation that happened a number of years ago about the Florida Man, which takes its cue from the headlines that say, you know, naked Florida man eats off part of a teen's face. Or how about, you know, Florida man couldn't stop, you know, beating himself off at a Burger King. Or how about this one? Florida man claimed he only drank at stoplights and not when driving. Okay? And so the lyrics of this song kind of tie in with the whole legend of the Florida Man, you know. His brother Red said his Uncle Ned found Elvis in a loaf of bread, high on meth. There's little Beth, the neighbor's cat is on her breath, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And, you know, it's weird because once I heard this song, I couldn't help but notice Florida Man headlines now. Every day I see them. I mean, as soon as I heard this song, almost immediately started seeing headlines for the Florida Man. Maybe you will too. I mean, look, on October 26th, Florida Man in garbage bag suit sets garbage trucks on fire, causing millions in damage. Not long after that, Black Leopard mauls Florida Man who paid $150 to have full contact experience. I mean, and then a day later, Florida Man catches 1,000-pound gator after it stalked him for years. Oh yeah, and this one just came in as I'm doing this. Florida Man claims Blue Oyster Cult are complete human waste. I mean, can you believe the humanity? Look, if you're a fan of BOC, you're going to love this album. Great, great stuff. I will throw a bunch of these songs into a playlist along with a bunch of other great BOC tracks that maybe you'll like. If you're a new fan to this band, check out the link above and in the description below. Now, right now, you know what I've got? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more trivia, okay? So let's do it. Now, while Blue Oyster Cult and Don't Fear the Reaper have been featured in many films, including John Carpenter's Halloween and Stephen King's The Stand, you would think their other memorable classic, Godzilla, would have gotten some screen time. So the question is, which Godzilla film features Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla? Is it A, Godzilla King of the Monsters from last year, 2019? Is it B, Godzilla from 2014? C, Godzilla from 1998, which featured Matthew Broderick? Or D, none, never been in a Godzilla film? The answer is A, Godzilla King of the Monsters from 2019. Yeah, so the Godzilla franchise is recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest running movie franchise out there, like 36 films since the 1950s. Of course, Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult came out in 1978. It took literally like 4 decades before it finally got used in a Godzilla movie. And when it finally does, it's not even the BOC version, it's a cover version. And I gotta be honest, I think it sucks. I don't think it's anywhere close to the original. Why they didn't go with BOC, maybe do a new version of it, not sure. But Blue Oyster Cult even did a song called Nozilla back in 1998 after, remember the Godzilla movie that came out that featured Puff Daddy and Jimmy Page? You know, why didn't they throw Godzilla into that movie? No excuse, right guys? Anyway, check out that song in my playlist too. Anyway, Before I wrap up this video, I told you earlier how BOC released a bunch of archival stuff on DVD earlier this year. Still putting stuff out now, and I got my copies. I got one here. This was live from New York, I think in 2012. It's a really cool DVD, except for the editing. If you have problems with seizures, you don't want to check out this video because it'll definitely send you into seizures. The editing is probably the worst I've ever seen on any concert DVD. You can't really watch it. Put it on and do some housework, do some work, reading, whatever you got to do, but hard to watch. But a great show. Another great one from this year is live from the Hard Rock 2014, and this is a show that I'm so glad came out on DVD. It's just a tremendous concert, great live versions of I Love the Night, The Vigil, then came The Last Days of May, Shooting Shark, A Golden Age of Leather. Check out this performance, really, really good stuff. They've got a DVD coming out soon, Rock of Ages Festival in Germany from 2016. This should be great, looking forward to that. Also, they recently put out a 40th anniversary show that featured the Agents of Fortune album, played all the way through, and another one from 2017 from London, 45th anniversary show where they played their entire first album straight through. So plenty of great tracks, a lot of variation there. Be sure to check it out, and I'll have a lot of these videos in the playlist linked below. And if that's not enough, Blue Oyster Cult reissued some stuff from their catalog, including the Cult Classic album from 1994, where they re-recorded a bunch of their older tracks. Also a re-release of Heaven Forbid from '98, Curse of the Hidden Mirror, their last studio album. And coming up soon, they're going to be reissuing A Long Day's Night, which is a live DVD that they put out back in 2001. They're going to redo the audio and the video, so that'll be coming out soon. Anyways, I hope this video helped explain why I have remained a BOC fan after all these years, why BOC have remained a band with the biggest cult following out there, if you know what I mean. Their music has withstood the test of time, and certainly getting woven into the fabric of the pop culture has not hurt them either. Let me know what you think about Blue Oyster Cult, about the new album, about all these great releases that they've put out all this year. Let me know what your favorites are. Be sure to drop it down below. And also be sure to check out the playlist too. Lots of great stuff that I have dumped in there for you as well. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share it with a friend. Hit that subscribe button too. And if you celebrate, be sure to have a great Thanksgiving holiday. Stay safe, and I will see you next time, all right? Take care.